Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Constructor Clash. The last time we did this, Matt, was so long ago.
Yeah, it has been a while.
So for those who don't know, this is Matt Kling. He's former host of Constructive Criticism, GP, top 8 competitor, multiple Pro Tours. Just the guy that, you sit down, you see Heezy and Matt, and you think, Smash Bros. Oh, wait, we're playing Magic today.
Yeah, not that podcast.
This is not that podcast. So one of the things that I wanted to do when I was thinking about content for 2024 is bring back gameplay content to the Constructor Criticism YouTube channel. And I also really like doing this type of stuff with Matt. I think that, Matt, you deliver really honest insight with when we play a matchup, you do a good job of this is what I think the game is about. This is what I think the cards that were good, that weren't good. And you don't really care what the result is, which is something that I think is really important in the videos like this. More so, we care about what happened.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate that compliment. Yeah, I try to be as objective as possible. And I think I agree. It's important not to be results oriented when you're looking at what happened in a matchup, or even not even necessarily what happened, but the way that you think that it should play out after having played.
So today we will be playing two different decks. We're actually going to go over the decks here in just a second. We will be playing stock domain, as I call it. Just straight up. We'll get into the decks. And you're going to be playing the second most popular deck, surprisingly, on Goldfish, which really surprised me because it doesn't have the greatest results recently. It did really well at the beginning of December, but kind of later in the month, kind of started to fall off. And that's the I don't know, what you call it, Rakdos Discover?
Yeah, I mean, that's a reasonable name for it. Just like Rakdos midrange, also a fine descriptor. I don't think there are any other Rakdos midrange decks vying for the spot, so.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Before we get into the decks, what do you expect this matchup to play out like?
Well, I would expect that just all the Wraths are going to be really good coming from the Domain deck. The value off of Discover doesn't really count for as much if you just get Wrathed, right? I think that the Rakdos midrange deck is really trying to prey on 1-for-1 removal. And I think that your late game is objectively better than the Rakdos deck, so that's probably going to be hard to overcome. But at the same time, I do have the potential for some aggressive draws and a little bit of reach with things like Shieldred. So hoping to just kind of get underneath you and just kind of cross over the finish line in that way.
Yeah, I got to play this. Shout out to the Systems Magic stream. They do a stream on Twitch with Andrew Ellenbogen and, oh man, I don't remember Greg's last name. I feel bad right now, but the winner of Summit 1, winning that Black Lotus in this exact matchup yesterday as of the time of recording. And it really felt like Angel was better than I expected out of the Domain deck. Just able to pick off important things. It obviously can't kill a Shieldred, but it can kill a lot of stuff. And then also just being able to fly over to, knock down one of the Invasion of Zendikars was also really potent.
It's just a little side note. I mean, Chroma is my favorite character in all of Magic, so I love that they're printing a playable Chroma.
I also just want to say that on the we'll get into it when we talk about sideboards, but I actually think that you have a lot of sideboard for the matchup, and I basically only have Negate, depending on kind of where we land.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly fair. I mean that's something you would expect, though, right? For a matchup that presumably is probably 80-20 in your favor pre-board.
Yeah, that's totally fair. All right, so that is going to do it for the this section. Let's dive into the decks. All right, let's go over the Domain deck first, Matt. So this list has 26 lands, 1 Boseiju, 4 Cavern of Souls, 3 forests, 1 island, 1 mountain, 3 planes, 4 Jetsmere Garden, 4 Sapphire's Headquarters, 1 Swamp, and 4 Zatoris Proving Ground. I don't know if I said this already, 4 Up the Beanstalks, 4 Stompers, 4 Angel of Wrath, 2 Depopulate, 4 Evasion of Zendikar, 4 Sunfall, 4 Leyline Binding, 4 Her Migration, 1 Nissa, and 3 Atraxa in the main deck. Pretty stock list. I think that, people, once the Up the Beanstalk tech was put in place, it really cut down on like any flex slots that you would even want. Being able to just play it Up the Beanstalk early, and then hold down the fort with Leyline Binding until you can get to a Wrath effect is kind of the game plan here.
Yeah, I mean, Leyline Binding and Up the Beanstalk go together like peanut butter and jelly, so, it's it's a pretty potent combo in every format that they've allowed that in, so.
Yeah, Nissa is kind of a nice addition to the deck. It takes care of opposing things like Leyline Binding and stuff like that, but also being whether it's 5 mana, 6 mana, or 7 mana, no matter how you cast it, it still will trigger the Up the Beanstalk, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would that be true if it costs 3 and 2 for Phyrexian? That probably would be, right? I assume paying life for it doesn't change the mana cost.
Yeah, so if you pay 3 green and pay 4 life, it triggers. Or are you saying?
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is that if the cost,
I believe that it would also work that way. Yes.
Right. Yeah, that would intuitively be the way it would work to me.
So for this sideboard, we have 4 knockout blows, 2 temporary lockdowns, 1 depopulate. Really going hard to beat some more aggressive decks, because that is something that it can sometimes struggle with. 2 Jace, Perfected Mind, as a way to beat the mirror, as well as Chrome Host, Sea Sharks, Ops and Baloths, and Negates. The list is clean, man. Like it is honestly one of the cleanest decks. Obviously it's been tuned to perfection by the masses, as it is the most played deck and the winningest deck in Standard right now. But
yeah, so I know we're not really exploring this today, but talk to me about Jace the Perfected Mind for the mirror.
Yeah, the thing is that you draw so many cards in the mirror between Up the Beanstalk and Atraxa that if you land a Jace, you can usually just mill them out.
Okay, so it's just full minus and hope that that's enough to mill your opponent out?
Yeah, I mean, it's 20 cards.
Right.
So. Okay, that is going to do it for this one. Let's move on to Rakdos. Matt, why don't you go ahead and read off your deck list?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll start with the lands. So we have 2 Blackcleave Cliffs, 3 Cavern of Souls, 4 Haunted Ridgeland, 4 Restless Vents, 3 Sulphurous Springs, 1 Sokenzon, 1 Takanuma, and then for basics we're running 2 mountains and 5 swamps.
Yep.
And then for removal, looks like we have 2 cut downs, 1 Anointed with Affliction, 2 Go for the Throats, 1 Brotherhood's End, and that looks well. Then the Trumpeting Carnosaur can count as removal, but
yeah.
And then we have 4 Deep Cavern Bats, 4 Blood Tithe Harvesters, 4 Preacher of the Schism, 2 Gix, 3 Shieldred, 4 Geological Appraisers, 1 Bone Horde Dracosaur, 4 Trumpeting Carnosaurs, and 3 Cruelty of Gix, rounding things out in the main deck.
Yeah, so one of the things that sticks out to me when I look at this deck compared to like other similar, like, mid-range decks in Standard, is that while like Deep Cavern Bat actually can get bigger in this deck.
Sure.
Like it is just a 1/1 flying Tidal Sculler.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the tempo of it is just where you want to be, especially like discovering into it isn't so bad. Yeah. And then it's also pretty good with Gix, right? Like just having the evasion on like a pretty cheap creature.
Sure. Yeah, Gix certainly helps that quite a bit. Anything stand out to you kind of about like this main deck as a deck that people are picking up for their RCQs that they should know about?
Nothing specifically. I will say that I haven't played with this deck yet, but I have played against it. I found the like Esper to be pretty good against this deck, so I'm curious to see really where this deck's strengths lie. Like actually playing it for myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it almost
so
seems like it's one of the reasons that I wanted to use this deck is because of its popularity, right? And
mhm.
it almost seems like it's going in multiple directions. I do think that Cruelty of Gix, like, there aren't a lot of decks playing that card, and that card is bonkers, like, every time you play it. Which
Right.
is, and I do think it's even better in this format. But the
Yeah.
sideboard has actually been really interesting for me for this deck.
Sure. Let me read off the sideboard that we have currently. So for sideboard we have 2 more cut downs, 3 duress, another anointed with affliction, 2 extract the truths, another go for the throat, 2 Liliana the Veils, 1 breach the multiverse, 1 abrade, and 2 Gix's commands.
Yeah, the thing that I really like about this sideboard is it can really turn into like this disruption style deck with duress, extract the truth, and Liliana, to really slow down things like this the deck that I'm playing today are doing.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the tried and true method to try to beat any ramp deck, right? Is just early pressure and a little bit of disruption. So try to break up the curve with something like duress and apply pressure with your 2 and 3 drops.
That is going to do it for the initial thoughts. We will do have a post game conversation, but let's get into these games. All right, and it looks like Matt, you have crushed me in the die roll.
The best ever.
So I'm going to talk about my hand. We're going to play from we'll give as much commentary in Matt's side as we can. And honestly, like, if you want to see Matt's side, leave a like, hit that subscribe button. But we will in the future look into being able to see both sides of the matchup. However, this hand looks great. I think that having multiple up the beanstalks is okay. Leyline binding, it's that catch all that we already want, and then we also can round out our mana with the Topiary Stomper.
Okay. So am I mulliganing with the knowledge of what I'm playing against, or am I mulliganing in the dark?
That's a good question. How do you think we should do it for the viewers?
I'm not sure. I was gonna leave it to your discretion.
I would say that for game 1, we both act like we don't know what we're playing against.
Okay. I would keep this hand in the dark, and I think it's gonna need some help in this matchup.
Fair. All right.
I just have a bunch of removal spells and then some top end, which is like the opposite of what I really want in this matchup.
So, just kind of talking about it. If you saw Haunted Ridge from your opponent, what would you put them on that?
I would probably put them on this deck.
That's my thought too. Like, obviously there are other decks like that could play that card, but
yeah, but it probably something semi off meta at that point, right?
Yeah, I agree. Right, we're gonna climb to fight some giants. There was a question there if I wanted to play a tap land to unlock leyline, like just leave up a leyline binding. But I think I like just getting the beam in play.
Sure.
Okay, so here we have some options. We have tap lands. We have lots of tap lands. Up the beanstalk is, we could play the second one, draw a lot of cards this game, or leave up binding. I think that with how slow Matt's hand has been, I don't think that playing Stomper here is the right play, which makes me want to play the tap land and just play the beanstalk.
Sure. I also think it's pretty rare that you get punished for not holding up leyline? Like, what does that even matter against?
Yeah, the only thing that it could even matter against is like now Sheoldred is just very, very painful.
Sure, I mean it's going to deal you 4, but I don't think it's that big of a deal.
He says as he plays it. Fair enough.
I mean, even in this case, I just don't think it is that different, right? To have, like, honestly, you would probably trade 2 life for a card most of the time in this spot anyway.
Yeah, that could be true.
Like, if I'm choosing whether to Leyline Binding a Sheoldred with 1 Beanstalk in play or 2, if I'm at 20 life, probably rather have 2.
Yeah, I think that's true. Right, now we can happily play our little dino friend. He's such a big little dino friend though.
Mm-hmm.
Here we're gonna go ahead and grab planes. Just make sure that we've unlocked all of our colors.
Kind of needed that to be a land. Need is a strong word. I kind of wanted that to be a land.
I do think that the total number of tap lands can be a weakness in this deck against a deck like yours, where like while you're like a big mid-range deck, you're still able to kind of put on pressure in a lot of spots. And had you had the hands played out differently, like all of these tap lands would kind of be annoying.
Yeah. I currently have all 4 of the spells that were in my opener in my hand still. So like that's why I was asking if I should be mulliganing with discretion, because like obviously this is the things that I had going on were just not going to be good in this matchup. But that being said, I think if you were playing Esper or Mono Red or Soldiers or anything like that, like this the spells in my hand had a lot of value. I suppose I'm just passing.
I think that I'm overly joyed to see a pass there.
Yeah, I don't disagree. If I had spells to cast that mattered, I would have done it.
Sure. All right, go ahead and attack for 7.
Trying to decide if your life total or mine is more valuable here. Probably yours.
Yeah, I assume you're supposed to kill the angel. Oh man, that's the good go for the throat art. Wasn't that card like $75 foil when it came out?
Go with the throat?
Yeah.
Maybe like foil Japanese or something. But I don't think that the English foil was worth that much.
Maybe I'm thinking a mental misstep.
I thought this was a Traxa. I was just like, I mean, the fact that it could have just been a Traxa there is just insane, though. Like, Traxa is so undercosted.
Yeah, I actually didn't have 7 mana, though.
Oh, did you play a tap land?
I had to play the Jetsmear card in.
Got it.
But I think that this Nissa will do a fine job of...
Yeah, that's totally fair.
Yeah, I kind of expected Cruelty of Gix the previous turn and I thought I was going to be saddened.
I mean, yeah, this game is definitely over.
I don't think that there is a reason to care about the order in which I use this Planeswalker, and I don't know if there's a punish for what I just did.
For attacking before activating?
Yeah.
Can't imagine what it could be.
I don't know either, but just wanted to call out that I wasn't sure. So I cannot think of a Black Wrath that I would care about enough to also just have like 3 tap lands in hand that are really bad. Alright.
I also think worrying about a Wrath when you have a Nissa at 7 in play and 7 cards in hand and 2 Beanstalks is probably not worthwhile. I don't even think a Wrath would be good for me here. Like,
1, 2, 3. Do I even want these lands to take these lands? Because I'm just gonna have to discard them anyway. Honestly, I think that why can't I take? Oh, it's because I'm taking this. Yeah, I think we'll just take these. All right. It is waiting on you, sir.
I know. I was just thinking.
Oh, okay. I think that this is bad. I think that I don't need this. I think I don't need this. I honestly wonder if I even need this up to Beanstalk. Can't imagine what.
So yeah, obviously there is nothing. I was just gonna say, as kind of a. I mean, this is like. I think most people find this pretty intuitive, but I think that at this point in the game, it is better to cast Deep Cavern Bat and then concede than it is to cast the Trumpeting Carnosaur and show my deck.
Yeah, I agree. That's fair. All right, game 1 is over. All right, so for game 2, we're gonna put me on the play, just so that both decks get a game on the play pre-board. My hand is pretty good. Again, double Beanstalk, Sunfall, and a Invasion. So we will keep mine.
Yeah, I think this is a hand that I actually would have a decent chance with on the play. We'll see if I can get there on the draw.
The draw is a fickle being. I think that one of the things that I like when a deck has as many like of the same effect as this deck has is when you like play against a deck that plays discard like Deep Cavern Bat or Disruption like that. Like sometimes your hands will just look like I don't even know what to possibly take here because like
yeah, just a lot of redundancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually did have the option to play Deep Cavern Bat there, but I think that the only thing I would really take that matters this turn would be like a Leyline Binding. And if I'm taking Leyline Binding with Deep Cavern Bat, then I'm like the reason I would take it is to protect the Blood Tithe Harvester, but I don't think that's. I'd rather just play it, and then if you have it, that's fine, and then I'll just take something later with the Deep Cavern Bat.
I agree with that line.
Kind of the same logic here. I mean, you have 2 depopulates, but you have a lot more Sunfalls, generally speaking, assuming, stockless or whatever. So I'm going to plan on Deep Cavern Bat next turn, as opposed to this turn. And I think that, that's kind of a a theme with discard spells is like, unless it's a Thoughtseize where you're doing it on turn 1 in the dark, like you should kind of have an idea of what you're trying to take with like Duresses and Deep Cavern Bats and stuff like that, and
I think even with
sequence your plays accordingly.
I think even with Duress that it's or not Duress, even with Thoughtseize, like if you don't have a reason to cast it.
Well, but I mean, in general, you cast Thoughtseize on 1 because you don't have any other 1-mana plays.
Sure.
And I mean, in the dark, right? Like obviously, it's matchup specific and stuff.
Yeah.
If you know what you're playing against.
Yeah. But. Okay, so we'll grab this because of our hand. It's maybe supposed to actually go. Draw. What'd you say?
It's a pretty interesting draw, is what I said.
It's possible that I was supposed to grab Mountain instead of Plains there because these Cavern of Souls are going to act as Plains pretty often. I'm not sure.
So I guess you should attack first since I'm going to be drawing a card here.
Makes sense to me.
And I think I am supposed to just lead on the Deep Cavern Bat and try to snipe a Wrath. Hopefully it's, the only Wrath. Okay, so you have an Achroma. I definitely have to take the Sunfall here, I think. Doesn't really make sense to take the Archangel and then you just Sunfall and then you get your Archangel back anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're going to get the Sunfall back, but then at least you've dedicated an Archangel to the board, and you don't get to draw cards without the Beanstalk.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that I am supposed to just go for max development as well.
Well, I have a different reason that I really like this play.
What's that? I
think that the blood tokens are actually like pretty nutso busto there. Where I now I can only kill one of the harvesters.
Right, yeah, sure. I just get to kill the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well. It's not looking good for our hero.
I don't know. I think I'm in a pretty good spot. This does seem like, like I was saying, it's possible I still get there in this game, but on the play, like this is the kind of hand that you can expect to have a decent shot of winning. And I think if I win this game, it'll still be kind of lucky. Yeah, so I guess I do make that line. Because attacking into the Archangel just doesn't seem good, so I have to kill it first.
Well, your guy has Death Touch.
Yeah, I know that, but I don't want to...
You don't want the 3 life?
Yeah, I just don't want you to block. I mean, it's 5 life, right? If anything.
Sure, that's fair.
And the Harvester just sits back if I don't attack with it, so... And you could always just take 2. Like, it's just all bad.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that, me attacking that invasion is also,
Yeah, plus you would just gain more life than you lost by not blocking. Yeah, I guess this is probably correct here.
Deep Cavern Bat would be,
yeah, that would be pretty good.
So annoying off the top there.
Oh, perhaps I should have done this first.
I think you can choose to put this in your hand.
It's not legendary, is it?
No, but I have a Sunfall.
Oh, right, you have Sunfall in hand. That's true. I guess the better question is, are you forced to use it if I don't play it?
Maybe not right now. That's a good point.
I mean, I have several cards in hand. I have tons of gas, so I actually think that I am supposed to just put it in play. I also didn't give me the option, so it's just
Yeah, I wasn't positive.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure because like you can do it with duress. Like I put duress in my hand.
Oh, it does say or put it into your hand, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I clicked through it.
All right, draw a card. We will cast a card. Actually, we're gonna do this. All right, now I think we're cooking with gas.
Yeah, I mean, even in the best light for me, you look at that and it's still like a 4-for-1, right? Like,
Yeah.
So it's not hard to figure out why this matchup would be tough.
Yeah, I think the fact that like I got to do that and still have two up the beanstalks in play is the real problem for the matchup, right? Like I don't even know if we talked earlier in the video about Andrew and Greg. I don't know if I even saw up the beanstalk in those games. That's
Sure.
annoying. Like a lot though.
Well, take it that means you don't have an up there leyline binding immediately.
I sure don't. Just gonna cycle this. That's also not a leyline binding. Okay. Okay. Let me play them. If you exile the land card this way, create a 3/1. That's great.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that this card is templated at the beginning of my upkeep rather than like the beginning of the end step.
Because you want to be more powerful?
I just think that it's pretty rare that they print cards that have to just stay in the battlefield for a full turn to do anything.
Oh, Shieldred.
But that one does something on their draw step, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Alright. Well, I think we're casting one of these, so let's do it.
It seems pretty good, and you also get to draw 2 more times towards the leyline binding.
Let me tell you a story. It's not a good one.
I mean, the thing is, like, I'm facing almost a lethal attack here, right? Like, so it's not even not even clear that you even need a removal spell.
That's true. That is certainly a lot of 3/3s. But you also are drawing as many cards as me now. And making mana.
Cruelty of Gix is at least interesting.
Geological Appraiser can wipe the board with the whatever it's called, the Brotherhood's End. That's kind of trying to get a little lucky.
Yeah, I have better plays than that. But they are in a similar space for sure. Likely, I'm not casting either of these cards.
There's a car passing. Hope everybody heard that on the show. On the video, I should say. What are you contemplating?
I'm contemplating whether it makes any difference whether I attack first or not. I'm gonna cast a Trumpeting Carnosaur this turn, I'm sure.
I mean, I guess casting at first tells you if I have 5/5s or 3/3s.
Yeah, it also potentially gives me a look at your hand, or there are several things that it could do.
Yeah, I think casting at first is better.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't imagine how it's worse, and I can imagine some ways where it's better. It's pretty good.
Okay. We're like kind of close to dead here.
Yeah, especially given that most of your removal is going to deal you another 4.
I actually might just be dead. Guess that's probably technically not true. Okay, so 1, 2. I might be actually think I am dead because that flyer is going to hit me for 5 again.
Now, certainly, if you can't remove the flyer and the shield, or one or the other at the very least, then it's looking pretty lethal to me. I guess Atraxa would be the other way that you could potentially not be dead. You play a big blocker with lifelink.
Well, the problem with playing Atraxa is I have to draw a card to get to it. And
oh yeah, if you play it well, and not only that, but the Atraxa also would draw too.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't draw. You put them into your hand.
Yeah, but the Beanstalk does.
Oh yeah, that was going to be my next point. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what the future holds for us.
Oof.
Okay.
Now the outs are definitely thin. I guess Sunfall puts you to 1.
It is not a Sunfall. Trying to see if
Depopulate would actually leave you at 5, which is not nothing.
I think I have an out.
Okay. Everything at me. Oh, I certainly have to block.
Dang it! You figured out my out.
Yeah, I was just doing. I mean, even if there was like, I was gonna do a quick sanity check to see if there was any kind of damage-based removal, but even if there is, I just literally have to block. I'm gonna be dead. So it's fairly easy decision here.
You see that you figured out part 1 of my 1-part plan. Okay, so that blocks. I take lethal. Alright. Well, he already knows about this. So let's oh, that doesn't work that way.
Well, this just seems like not great if you're paying 4 life and then drawing 2 cards.
But I get to die on my terms, Mackley.
Okay, sure.
Alright, there's 1-1. See? Alright, so here, I think that all we can really do is bring in a gate. I don't really like things like Chrome host Seed Shark, because, like, it just gives him a target for his removal. I also think that Obstinate Baloth, while I can probably guess that Matt would be boarding in something like Liliana, is not better than the things that we would be boarding out to play it. So for me, this comes down to like, okay, let's just kind of cover bases here, and I'm just going to shave 1 invasion and 1 herd migration, and that's it.
That sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Alright, we got our first kind of clunky hand. But actually, it's actually really bad because we can't even cast the negate in our hand. I think that we're kind of forced into mulliganing here.
It's fair. I have my favorite hand, which is something that's completely unusable so that you can just mulligan and know that you made the right decision.
I love those kind of hands.
I've played this game perfectly so far. Now I have a real decision about whether I should mulligan or not, so, who knows.
We're going to put back Cavern of Souls. And oh, I played the wrong land, though.
It's unfortunate. Hopefully not too costly.
I mean, I don't think that I'll get punished for it, but, it is interesting to note that it is the wrong land. Is there a flapping winged creature in my future?
No. But the decisions on this turn are still interesting. I have a lot of options here. I have a couple of discard spells and a Blood Tithe Harvester. Kind of deciding what to lead on here. Kind of think I want to lead on the discard spell, and I think I want to use the most mana efficient one, even though this one potentially has other modes. This is the least high value line, but the most mana efficient line.
It's also going to be your best line.
Yeah, probably just take the ramp here, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
I still need to draw a land to make my hand function, so.
I do not. I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess I technically.
Well, actually, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, Sunfall actually does cost 5 mana, so. All right. Fair enough.
It's a Blood Tithe Harvester.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes folks. No, I did that. I maybe did that wrong. I'm not sure.
All right, attacks for 3 are always happening.
That makes sense.
And probably always going to play a tap land this turn as well. And the rest too. So I guess all the things that are happening are always happening.
I find that to be true in most things.
Yeah, I kind of can kick the can down the road as far as whether I want to sack this blood token or not. That's what I was thinking about before, but.
What?
Siege is another card type too, right?
Yeah, you're about to see it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I mean, I can see the cards you revealed already.
Oh, sure. All right. Fair enough. That was gross.
Yeah, I mean, Atrax is just, like I said, it's insanely undercosted here. Like the fact that you can just cast explosive vegetation and then
Draw
it
6
is
cards, make a 7/7 flying
only,
lifelink death touch.
yeah, it's only one turn behind cheating it into play as you would in Modern, right? Like it's really not that bad of a deal. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I know exactly which cards you took here. You took the plains for your land.
You can actually do it. You can actually do it
Everything
the
else.
same turn, right? Because you can go. There's the new rampant growth, so you could like turn 2 rampant growth, turn 3 invasion. I mean,
Well, sure. I'm just saying, like it's yeah, you could, but people don't usually do that, right? That's not a
yeah,
typical
that's
thing.
fair.
I'm gonna sack this blood token. I think that maybe I actually am supposed to discard one of these creatures because maybe I do need the top end eventually. I'm gonna get back in this. It kind of makes sense to me. It's a pretty good draw. Probably still not going to be good enough, but problem is that I don't have any answer for the Archangel. I think that's going to be an issue for me.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I do for the turn. Um,
What are you thinking about?
Not sure. Yeah, I'm thinking about whether I care more about Up the Beanstalk or Sunfall, and it's not really that clear. I don't think that you getting more lands is relevant. I mean, obviously it's not, you know, worthless to play another battle, but I think that like that's low on my list of problems. Negate, I don't think is going to be that big of an issue going forward. I think that I'm just supposed to take Up the Beanstalk, but I don't know. It's really close between that and Sunfall, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna take Up the Beanstalk because I'm gonna play Liliana here, and I assume that your next turn is going to be Archangeling both of my things.
Yeah,
I assume you can hit Planeswalkers, right?
Yeah, I think it's any target.
Does it go to player as well?
It's any target.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, I'm assuming that you're gonna have to play the Archangel out to wipe this board, which means that your Sunfall gets a little worse at least.
Alright, so white.
My biggest problem is that I do not have a good answer for this Archangel, and I cited out all my removal except for the Lilianas that I brought in. So basically, I just need to like top deck another Liliana.
That's an interesting.
Otherwise, this battle is going to go off here.
Yeah, that's an interesting sideboard thing. I think we'll talk about sideboarding in your sideboarding in the next game.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I actually think that I know exactly how you sideboarded from you saying that. Okay.
I guess the real issue is that like you have negate now, so like Liliana doesn't even get me out of it. Not really sure if I have
Whoa!
outs to this.
Why did it do that?
Yeah, that's obviously a little awkward, but I don't think it's gonna matter.
I don't think it's gonna matter either, but not what I intended.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure. Guess I needed to make sure that I think I tapped it. I think I needed to. I don't know. I just clearly misclicked somewhere.
Magic Online can be finicky if you float mana to cast spells.
Sure.
So I just wouldn't do it like that.
Alright, so this is going here. This is going at your face.
Can I interest you in casting Sunfall?
No.
Fair enough.
Why is it doing this?
Because you have to actually cast it. You can actually counter the backside of.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know why it was. The trigger. I didn't know where it was because I was trying to click on the trigger.
Right.
No, I'm in combat. In combat, Matt.
If you could just float all your mana and then end combat, that would be a helpful step.
It would do something. I has all the manas now.
Yep.
Can use beats all the manas.
Very unlikely.
Dino. Oh wait, I meant to negate that. Oh, I haven't.
You still can. And it hasn't. We haven't gotten that far yet.
Moto's messing with me, Matt. Would like you to get negated.
It's pretty interesting negate, to be honest. I probably would have just taken the negate, so it's fine there. Guess I'm attacking.
You are on the attack.
Your hand is Sunfall and a mystery card, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Is that mystery card another Atraxa?
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That is interesting.
Is it?
Mm-hmm. Is that mystery card another negate?
Nope.
Some other version of a counterspell? Oh, sure. You're going to go for chapter 3.
Put a Drax into play?
That was my plan.
Mm-hmm. Are you still dead?
Dead? How?
You literally dead on board?
Through a 7/7 flying lifelink?
8. Maybe I did the math wrong. 8, 12.
I mean, I didn't do the math, but you have to deal me 19 through a blocker.
8, 12.
It's only 14.
It's only 15. Yeah. 14. I'm bad. That was a really bad Lele Binding.
Have I played a land this turn? I don't believe so.
Really bad Lele Binding. I'm being dumb.
So if I take the Cavern, I guess I just take Cavern and Deep Cavern back. What's your last card, Sunfall? Probably actually do want to take that. It's kind of a shame that this Atraxa is going to get so little value, but I mean, obviously it's keeping me alive, so that's some value.
Better than not keeping you alive.
Yeah.
What did you just reveal?
Both of these cards. Oh. These are the cards that I drew.
I did the bads and I didn't change your real stuff. Alright.
Currently have no cards in hand, so.
Well, sometimes it's better.
Hands free.
To be lucky than good.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I also, savagely top decked on you, so it is what it is. I hit a 3-outer and then you hit a 2-outer. Well, debatably. I mean, you had other cards that play for sure. So now block and I'm just definitely dead.
All right.
That's interesting. I'm surprised at how close that game was, all things considered. Because I think if you don't draw a Leyline Binding for one turn, that game goes on for much longer.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we had some nonsense on the top of our deck. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Alright, let's go talk about map sideboarding. So obviously we just saw a game where you had sideboarded out all your removal. I assume that you sideboarded out the Cut Downs, the Anoint, the Go for the Throats, sideboarded in the Duresses, the Liliana, the Extract the Truths, and the Behold.
I sided out a little more than that.
The Brotherhood Zen too, I assume.
Yeah, 2 Cut Downs, 1 Anoint, 2 Go for the Throats, 1 Brotherhood's End, and 1 Geological Appraiser. That was the one I was like, I don't know. And I cited in 2 Extract the Truths, 2 Lilianas, and 3 Duresses. Okay.
So the way that I sideboarded for this matchup was I boarded out Cut Down, Anoint, left in the Go for the Throats, took out the Brotherhood's End and the 2 Gixes.
Mm-hmm.
And did the Behold the Multiverse, the Duresses, the Extract the Truths, and the Lilianas.
So the reason I don't like Breach the Multiverse is that I think that you actually just even if I do get something from your deck, it just doesn't matter often enough, right? Even we just saw that was a Atraxa with you having no cards in hand, and admittedly, obviously you drew the Leyline, but it's most of the time you're just going to have cards in hand, right? I'm gonna get an Atraxa, it's gonna draw me 2 cards that are kind of irrelevant, and then you're just gonna kill it.
I don't think that I agree. I think that you also just have really relevant stuff. If you get a Cruelty of Gix or a Trumpeting Carnosaur off of it, it's just so many cards to look at.
Yeah, I just also don't want to try to get the 7 mana against your deck.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I was just saying how I was sideboarding. I don't know that it's correct. I do worry that Go for the Throat is one of your only answers to my Atraxas, but.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily want to side out Go for the Throat. That was one of the last cards that I sided out. That was actually the last card that I cited out. I think
sideboarded
Liliana the Veil is almost strictly better than Go for the Throat.
Yeah, I think I also sideboarded out 1 Shieldred when I sideboarded for what it's worth. But
yeah, I don't love that against Leyline or against Up the Beanstalk.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I did not want to cite out Gix because it's, you know, I do want to have the 3-drop pressures. I did consider citing out a Preacher because I think more often it's going to be drawing cards rather than making 1/1s.
Sure.
But yeah, that was the plan that I went with. Whether it's correct or not, I'm not sure. It's, if anything, I'm worried less about killing Atraxas than I am about killing the Territorial Stompers. That's probably the bigger reason to keep in Go for the Throats, because if you're casting Atraxa, it's going to be so hard for me to actually come back most of the time, even if I just do have Go for the Throat, right? Like, it's not like, oh, my opponent played an Atraxa, I'll just Go for the Throat it and then everything is fine.
Sure. That's fair. Okay. Well, let's go on to game number 4.
Yeah, this is what we signed up for.
I believe that my hand is technically a keep. I do not like it.
Fair enough. I mean, my hand still has some amount of getting there to do, but it is by far the best start that I could have in this matchup if I draw an untapped black land. Yeah, obviously we'll take the Leyline Binding here. Is that obvious, actually?
I'm actually not sure, but I do...
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be Binding.
Yeah, it would make the most sense to me that you would take Binding.
I was just making sure, I was doing like a quick sanity check to make sure that this wasn't somehow rampant growth.
Dude, can you imagine? Holy. My world would be different.
Yeah.
I'd be so hot for that. It's already really good. Like... Sure.
Mostly re-employing my same strategy from game 1, where I'd rather develop the Blood Tithe early to get pressure, and then play something like a Deep Cavern Bat later. Technically representing... Is that even true? No, because you don't have black mana.
I'm not representing...
Yeah. Not representing anything. Did draw the untapped black source.
I noticed that.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It didn't even make me wait. I drew it on turn 2. So.
Didn't even make you sweat?
Yeah, no sweat.
Wow. Matt Kling out here with the no sweats. That's what they call them. I don't know.
Sweats.
It's possible my hand was... would you have kept my hand?
I'm not sure. I think that you're going to have to play some amount of this game off the top anyway, so it's probably fine.
That's why I was like, what? Like, I'm just going to mulligan in, like, because this hand's bad against duress, and then I mulligan to a head.
Mulliganing is also kind of bad against duress.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
I think I might be forced to channel here, which I don't really like.
Well, I'm going to play at least one of these. Okay, well, gonna take the Archangel.
I could have never guessed. Can I interest you in a 7-mana play that I cannot cast?
No. Just debating on whether I should just play the Deep Cavern Bat anyway, as like, an attacker.
The other one?
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
I mean, it's either that or crack a blood token at this point. So, like, it's really only bad to depopulate.
So it's the same clock either way.
Yeah, but I also get to draw cards, right? Like Gix does the thing.
That's true.
So the clock isn't the only determining factor.
And they draw the cards for free.
Right, and I will say that the clock often changes, right? Like if you draw another herd migration or whatever, like calculating a 2-turn lethal is worthwhile, but it's also not the
that's true.
The end all be all. Guess I still name Dinosaur. It's always possible that like you play some amount of like Disdainful Strokes or something.
Yeah, the deck has historically played some number of Disdainful Strokes. Okay. That's an interesting draw.
Okay, so we might have binding. There's no like settle the wreckage or anything, right? I need to be worried about.
Not that I know
of. Okay. It's actually pretty interesting. I think I actually am supposed to Deep Cavern Bat first. Because if you do have Leyline Binding, you might want to get my Gix, and I actually have a second one in my hand. And I don't want to get lose my combat step. Like lose my Gix ability in combat.
Let me show you this mountain.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think I am dead.
I mean, you could still draw Sunfall, right?
I need to draw specifically Sunfall or Depopulate now.
It's a pretty interesting decision. Tend to have kind of interesting decisions when you just draw 5 cards in one turn. Like, okay, I didn't plan for any of this, so it's like I got a fresh hand. So the things that I'm thinking about now is I have a Restless Vents, which is pretty appealing, right? Like,
yeah, that is appealing.
Playing a manland.
Do you have a 2-drop?
No. Yeah, if I had the 2-drop, I think that would be the play for free. The other option is to play a Liliana the Veil and start that taking up, which I think is also pretty appealing.
It's possible the Liliana side is better, right? Because like, then no matter.
Yeah, I think the thing is, if you Wrath here, I'm just like pretty far behind to the.
Well,
the restless vents isn't going to kill you.
Well, the restless. What is restless vents activated ability?
It's 2/3 with menace.
It doesn't do anything else.
When it attacks, you discard a card and draw a card.
You do?
In that order, yes. I discard a card and draw a card. Okay. So I think it's Liliana.
I also think it's Liliana.
I have really been doing a number on my own life here.
You've been doing a number on your own life, but also like this draw. You can reasonably see how this deck can beat my deck with your draw.
Yeah.
Like obviously I've only drawn one spell, but I don't know.
I think I'm not totally dead to a Wrath, but likely your favorite if you draw the Wrath right now.
I did not. So if I Leyline Binding the Bat, play the Angel, you minus Lily, I take 6, 7, 8. I am just the deads. If I do Leyline Binding something else, I'm still just the deads. So
Are you? If you Leyline Binding the Gix, you take
6.
Oh, 6. Yeah, it's yeah. Okay, exactly.
Alright.
It's a good thing I played all those bats. See, that's what I'm saying. You can't just look at 1-turn lethals like that, or 2-turn lethals, whatever.
I love it. I love it.
I actually do love that it just came up right after.
I also love it.
It's a good way to drive your point home.
I'm debating whether or not the Ops and Baloths are actually worth it.
I just can't imagine how you don't bring them in against Liliana the Veil.
Yeah, I think that
also, like, I actually think that, like, it's just a pretty reasonable creature in this matchup, too, for that matter.
I also think that. The Nissa seems pretty expensive and pretty easy out. The question then becomes, do I want to, like, board out an Archangel or something else?
You're running multiple Baloths?
Yeah, there's 2 in the board.
I think you could reasonably justify siding out and up the Beanstalk, but maybe... How many herd migrations do you have at this point? Because that card
3.
also might be out.
There's 3. I think that one actually might be the one. I think you might be right. I think that is better than what I was about to do. I would like to play for Game 5. Thank you. This hand is awkward as can be, but we will keep it.
Hand is made a little bit awkward by the creature land coming to play tapped, but aside from some minor concessions, it's pretty good.
This is one of those hands where, like, my mana is bad, but, like, I think that the deck is good at fixing that problem.
Sure.
But it could be a bad keep. We'll let the YouTube comments decide. I'm sure that people will roast me if I lose this game. If I win this game, I'm a genius. If I lose this game,
yeah, fair enough. I was going to play a tap land on 1, but I just drew my 3rd on tap land, so now I think I'm supposed to duress on 1 and just not play this Restless Vents for a while.
I'll take a Sunfall.
It's at least nice to know about the Baloth. Way better than getting got.
For sure. Is this a vampire land? That's a dinosaur.
No, it's still a dinosaur land.
I'm forced to play this.
The land I didn't even know about? Wow. I think that's honestly too thin a value. Like, I think that people run that angle a little too much. Like, I'm never going to make a suboptimal play to not show my opponent what I drew that turn. Interesting.
I think I'm forced into playing this Baloth yet.
I mean, if you have no other plays, though, it just makes sense, I think.
I do have another play.
Okay. Yeah, that's why it was interesting.
Got it. I don't know that my other play is better for what it's worth.
Sure, but it's at least, something that you're doing. I guess one play it could potentially be is just having Sunfall. You don't want to necessarily dedicate the Baloth.
I think my play is bad, actually, thinking about it more. Okay, I'm playing bad down the stretch, Matt.
It's really interesting. I'm trying to figure out. I guess you don't even have mana for Sunfall, right? You need to draw a land.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way playing around that is correct then, right?
I would assume that you're not supposed to play around it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think my play was bad thinking about my mana, actually. But I also think that I'm still supposed to do it.
Okay. It's pretty good.
Game 5, buddy. Thanks for asking. Almost. This is the last game of the video. That's kind of annoying.
I mean, you have the Archangel in hand to get rid of it, right? Obviously, I realize that you'd rather just have me have nothing, but you think you're doing fine over there?
And these flyers seem kind of big.
Yeah. They're definitely nice. Oh, you have the most life now, so I'm making 1/1s.
That is correct. You thought I was just going to let you draw cards forever?
I feel like I've been wanting the 1/1s the whole time. If I could have just been getting 1/1s, I'd be happy.
Carnosaur. Childred.
The Preacher has a surprisingly nice body size for this matchup. It lines up pretty well against Archangel.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we just get to be like ships passing in the night, and I think that favors the Archangel. But like, at least I get that part of it, right? As opposed to just getting stonewalled, which is what a lot of creatures do against this.
Yeah.
have 6 mana, 2 cards in hand. I don't know what either of them are.
I like them.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, 7 is certainly a big number for you. So I can probably start off by attacking. Probably still willing to trade the Preacher. This is a really tough decision. I'm not gonna lie, I think that you have an Atraxa. Am I winning on board? I kind of am. I'm not doing bad on board, that's for sure. Could also be a negate, though. It's pretty tough. Pretty tough decision. I am just going to play this. If you have negate, then it's not as bad for me as if you have Atraxa.
And I get an untapped land.
Did you have both?
That would be so funny. I did not have both.
Yeah, that would just be... I feel like that would be like reading your soul through the computer. These things having lifelink has been so good, but I'm also, swinging the life total's pretty good too. So
yeah, it's like kind of annoying to be honest. You hear me like at 11 again. Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Really interesting again. I guess I imagine this time I'm supposed to play the Carnosaur. This was the other line that I was really debating last turn.
Oh, that's really annoying. Okay.
Yeah, after you told me you didn't have a track, so that was what I was assuming.
Yeah, but it's more. This is annoying for another reason.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I have another one.
Okay, you got 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, instead of the untapped land, I drew a second herd migration.
Well, why would you cycle one then? Shouldn't you just keep both?
Oh, maybe you're right.
I mean, to be fair, I think you are going to lose this game if you cast Herd Migration next turn anyway, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not. I'm not sure. Obviously, you'd have a lot of blockers. But yeah, if you cycle one, you basically... I mean, I guess you don't have to cycle both because you could kill the bat at some point. I don't know.
I'd like to draw a Wrath like one time in this match that doesn't get discarded.
I honestly think that I would be doing fine against a Wrath at this point. Which makes me feel like you're probably not winning this game right now. Like, I think Atraxa would be a good start. But I think that I'm currently winning this game. Whether that will hold true indefinitely is hard to say. But am I supposed to block? That's the question. Probably am, right? It's probably just too greedy to trade 1 for 3. You just so you're gonna let's do some math. Hold on. So you go to 19. You'd be facing 14, more than 19. So I might as well just block because you need to have a Wrath or an Atraxa anyway. I guess Baloth maybe keeps you alive, or another Chroma.
I don't know you call this card a Chroma.
Herd Migration. So would maybe do it. Yeah. That's fair. That's what I assumed based on the attacks there.
You have another
This
guy
becomes
now?
a 7/7?
It does become a 7/7.
Okay.
That's annoying. So you're forced to block player on Angel. I guess you're not because you have a blood.
Yeah, I'm not really
I guess
forced to block.
you still are though. I mean, you don't have to if you want to die to an angel, but even the blood doesn't save you from an angel.
Well, you've also already played 2 Angels, and I saw your hand 2 turns ago, right? So I don't think that that's necessarily a forced play around.
Sure.
It's like quite a lot of damage to take anyway, though.
Yeah, sounds a lot.
Might still be worth though.
I'm not sure. I actually don't know.
Yeah, I know. I also don't know. I am probably gonna take it though. If I die, I die. I'm supposed to lead off with Liliana. So I want to see if it resolves before I make other decisions. Yeah.
Shit. Alright. That sucks. Thought about doing this last turn. I didn't, and I should have. I don't know if that was... I don't know. Pretty close to dead.
Probably just supposed to cycle this now. So I think I have to hold up the cycle anyway. Just to, now that I can play around Archangel, I should.
Sure. That makes sense.
So a pretty good draw.
Wow. That was what you drew?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Get lucky. That's not lucky. And we are dead. Let's go talk about this match. 3-2 in the favor of our villain. What's up, Matt Kling?
The villain. Yeah. I mean, I think the elephant in the room is that, like, you know, this matchup is clearly not as bad for Rakdos as, like, at least I interpreted it to be.
Yeah, you know, I talked about how, like, I won the matchup from the Rakdos side yesterday. Like, just, you know, against a Pro Tour champion, right? So, I think there are a couple things. One, Carnosaur is, like, actually kind of a huge clock.
Yeah.
It's something that I was noticing. And then, like, you just have so much disruption post board.
Right.
Like, and the thing is it's not, like, all within one easy to interact with type of disruption, right? Like, Duress is a sorcery. Bat's a creature. Liliana's a planeswalker, and Cruelty is an enchantment. Like, there's just so, like, it's just all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm not even sure. Like, obviously, like, Leyline of Sanctity would be, like, a decent way to combat that kind of thing. But I mean, Obstinate Bailiff helps a lot for sure. But yeah, I mean, if anything, I think that the thing you really need in the matchup is just, like, more sweepers, right? Like, rather than try to fight them on the axis of I want to counter their discard spells or try to, like, interact with their discard spells in a way.
Board in the 6th sweeper.
Yeah, just have more ways to wrath the board, you know, like, or yeah, like, I mean, especially because Deep Cavern Bat is, like, one of my ways to actually attack your hand.
That's totally fair. I think that, you know, the Depopulate could totally be, you know, a way to do that.
Well, I'm looking at a list right now that has 2 temporary lockdowns and a Depopulate in the sideboard, and
those,
like that.
I have all of those. Yeah.
Okay, I might have brought in the temporary lockdowns if I'm being honest. Then that seems totally reasonable.
Okay. No, I think that's totally fair, and you know, I think that the matchup felt favored for me. Like, I feel like, you know, I had to get a little unlucky. You had to get a little lucky to win, but it certainly didn't feel like. And I think I made some mistakes down the stretch. Like, I could have cycled that earlier for a Wrath and Wrathed you and made that game go a lot longer, which I think was probably the right play. And obviously I got mad punished for it.
Yeah, you definitely got max punished for sure.
Yeah. But no, I think that overall, like, it kind of shows that this deck is it doesn't have this stranglehold on the format that I think people might be talking about right now. Like, oh, you know, it's 25% of the winning meta. Like, it's too good. And it's like, I don't know, like, ramp decks are just beatable if you want to beat them. You just have to build your sideboard appropriately and things like that. And it's not like there aren't aggressive tempo decks and things like that. So it's just about finding the way to do it. And, like, I really like that you chose your lane of aggression in the matchup to like aggression plus disruption was your plan, and it worked out for you.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I certainly still believe that it's favored for the domain deck. I think that it would take a pretty large amount of evidence to convince me otherwise. But yeah, I think that it did demonstrate how you can just like fade a couple of draw steps,
What did you
and
think?
honestly, even one of the games you won, right? Like it was like you drew what cycle land into Leyline Binding into Archangel of Wrath, and like that was all while like almost facing lethal, right? Like you needed to Leyline Binding the Shieldred and then Archangel for the other Archangel.
What do you think that says
And
about
then
a
we still
Rakdos deck?
that game actually. Did you actually end up still losing that game? Was that one of the ones you lost?
Yeah, that might have been game 4.
Yeah, that's wild.
What did you think of the Rakdos deck?
Yeah, it seems decent. I don't think it's it's not doing anything too hard to understand. It's kind of the same deck that it's been in multiple formats at this point, right? Like Blood Tithe Harvester is really good, and Shieldred is quite good as well. And yeah, you put those together with some removal and maybe some discard, and you got a pretty good deck.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody so much for watching. Leave a comment, let us know what standard decks you'd like to see next week, and we'll see y'all next time with another video from Constructed Racism on Constructed Clash.